could just say, that's enough show for the day, thank you, goodbye, and there'd be no lawsuits pending, no one would sue, because gosh darn it, we've done a darn fine show. But we're not going to do that.
We're not done yet.
We're not going to do that to you people because we like you a lot. We like being here, and we don't want to go home. We going to stay, and we going to bring you out a treat. Put your hands together for the talented and phenomenal force that is Alaina Huffman!
Thank y'all.
Hollywood moment right there. Two people from television hugging. Magic. Alaina.
Magic. Hi guys.
Are you? Listen, I don't even know. I'm going to ask a question I don't even know the answer to. Are you coming to karaoke tonight?
Am I what?
Coming to karaoke tonight.
I think I am.
All right.
Not all of you. Are you guys dressing up?
I am.
The band never participates because they're too cool and need to go do drugs.
They usually go and have like a really good dinner.
Yeah, Rob's going to show. Rob's costume planning started about a month ago. It's very
involved. We were all looped in on the conversation. Rob had no takers.
That's not.
I wanted people to help.
Well, you found those people in the form of paid employees of the staff, so
they're there to support you.
What is that? What are you? What's Robert doing?
Forever or never. I like it.
I don't know what it means. Forever or never.
That means a long time. Is what that means. Ladies and gentlemen, Alaina Huffman.
I'll see y'all later. Hi. This is a really big room. And it's really echoey. Hi! Y'all having a good time? Good. Who's from New Orleans? Nice. Whose first time ever at a convention? Oh, real? That's amazing. Sometimes I'm like, it's the same people over and over, but there's a lot of new of you. That's amazing. I'm always amazed when it's an actor's first time. I'm like, really? You guys have never done this. Welcome to our madness. So you guys are all coming to karaoke? Okay, good. I think I might have roped Ruth into coming tonight as well. Yeah. Ruth got me my shoes. They're my favorite shoes. I wear them all the time. Yeah, they're cute, right? Thank you. I think, have you guys ever done the test, the 5 love languages? Yeah, no, some of you? Okay. I think Ruth is like gifts, because she likes to give little gifts. She's really good at giving gifts. Anyways, I'm just going to start in with questions. I think you guys know who I am, but we will reveal it as we go. So let's check it out. Hey guys.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. I was going to ask, how did you get into acting?
Good question. How did I get into acting? God, I can't even remember. What did I do? I did a lot of children's theater. So I grew up in Canada. I'm from Vancouver, and then I grew up in Ontario. And I started with doing some children's theater, and then we moved from Ontario back to the west coast of Canada, to Vancouver. And it was over the summer, so I had no friends. Because, families do that. They're like, oh, we'll move before the school year. And then your kids spend the whole summer with no friends. It's great. I did that to my kids this year. So we all get to do it to our kids. And so I started Vancouver was really becoming a city that had a lot of filming going on. And I started doing some auditions and things like that. And then later that fall, I never worked. That fall I was in a shopping mall and I was approached by a model scout. I was with my mom. And a few months later, I was living in Tokyo, working as a fashion model. And so I did that for several years, which was very fun and took me around the world. And when I was about 19, I was living in Germany at the time, I moved to Texas. Yeah, that was a culture shock. I found it easier to move to Tokyo than to Texas. I was like, wow, this place is cool. So I moved to Texas. I was going to college there, and I was modeling there. I linked up with a local agent there, and they sat me down, and they were like, you know, we're noticing, this was like early 2000, like 2000, 2001, and they were saying, you know, we're noticing more and more actors on the covers of magazines and less models. We're thinking of opening a theatrical division. Are you interested at all in acting? And I was like, yeah, I did it a little bit when I was a kid. And so Austin, you guys know that place? Austin was just starting to make a lot of movies. A lot of studios were opening up there, and a lot of independent filmmakers. It was really a good hub for independent filmmaking. So I did 8 or so little independent movies, and I linked up with a manager who was from New York and moved out to LA. And so then I moved to LA, and I started working, and that's my story. So
Thank you.
yeah, thanks. Was that?
I like your outfit.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, it was fun. It's been a journey. But I always say, because people ask me a lot, you know, with that question, how would you get into it? And I used to always say, like, get involved locally, get involved in your local theater or, you know, in your local film community. But I also feel now that there's such an opportunity. We have so much access to promoting our own stuff. Now I would say, go and write your own thing, go and direct your own thing, go and get your friends together and make your own little movies. And you look at people like, y'all know Felicia Day. I remember meeting Felicia at Dragon Con. We were signing next to each other, and she had this little show that she made by herself called The Guild. Yeah, and I was just like, wow, you made your own TV show? Like, by yourself? And you put it up there? And you can do that now. And that's kind of the way that you want to, like, have your voice. And we all have access to social media, we all have access to YouTube. So it's such a great way to sort of tell your own stories. Hey.
Hi. So I have kind of a two-parter question. You were on the show for quite some time. Part one is, what was your favorite episode to do? And part two was, were there any pranks pulled on you?
Oh, the prank question. What was my favorite episode of Supernatural? I liked all of them. Honestly, I can't remember them sometimes. I remember, like, what we were doing, but I can't maybe always remember the episode titles. But I really liked working on Mother's Little Helper. And that was the reason I liked it is, number one, it was Josie's backstory of how she came to be possessed by Abaddon. And number two, it was directed by Misha Collins. Yeah. And the reason I was excited about that is because I've been on several TV shows where they encourage the actors to go on to direct and eventually produce and you know, sort of have their different hats on in production. And so that was one that I was really excited to see, sort of the collaborative effort of, like, supporting one of their own. And it's a really beautiful experience. And you can see it when you work on a show for a long time. I witnessed it on Smallville. All of the actors went on to direct, and that was really at the head, you know, the top of the production, wanted them to grow in that way. And the crew grows in that way because they all sort of get to move up a rank, and they all get to sort of do a different job and have a different experience. So it's really cool. The other funny thing about it is that you have, you know, Jared and Jensen, who deeply want to sabotage him. I remember like going to base camp, which is where they have all the trailers and hair and makeup and trailers and stuff. And Jared was just getting to set, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, give him a hug, say hello, and you know, how's your family, blah blah blah. And then he's like, "You know, I'm deeply torn because I really want Misha to, you know, be successful, but I also deeply want to sabotage him." I was like, wow. So he said, we already told him to get a waterproof case for his phone and his iPad, to make a double set of his notes and his binder, And he needed all of that. He's like, I already told him I'd pay for all of it. It's okay, because you are gonna get it. And that was the pie in the face where they almost broke his nose. It's great to have good friends. They've never pranked me. I always say that they're too afraid. And I'm fully aware that I'm gonna get it one day. But no, did you guys see when Ruthie and I pranked Mark Sheppard? You didn't see that one? So Ruth calls me one day. I was up in Vancouver shadowing Phil Sagrisha, learning about directing, because it's something that I eventually want to do. And so Ruth called me. She's like, are you coming to set today? I said, yeah. She's like, come to my trailer, quick. And I'm like, okay, what? And I get there, and she's got a box of Misha Collins' calendars. And she's like, we're just gonna plaster his trailer in pictures of Misha, Mark's trailer. And so we literally, I put them in his socks, I put it in his toilet seat, his microwave, like every inch, the floor, the couch, everything, every inch of his trailer was covered. And we were waiting, like we knew he'd get there early because Mark's always early. And so we were like waiting for him to come, and we had like a code. And Misha was like working, shooting a scene. And like every 5 minutes he'd pop his head up, and he was like, yeah. And then poor Phil was like, oh, guys, he's gonna get so pissed off, you're gonna make my day miserable, oh my God. But Mark was a great sport, he laughed at it, it was really funny. And we were running around the trailers with cameras trying to capture his reaction. He opened the trailer door and he goes, and he just laughed, and we were like, oh good, he's not gonna like damn us all to hell. Whew, it was worth the risk though, I will tell you. It was funny. Everyone sort of eventually like came by the trailer to look, and we're like, oh wow, good job guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was fun. Good prank.
Hi.
Hi, how are ya?
I love your hat, by the way.
Thank you, it's my new favorite.
My question is, if your character was to come back in the alternate universe, or just like as a ghost or whatever, what would she say / do, and how would like Sam and Dean react?
Those are two different things. So if she came back, in the alternate universe, she would not be Abaddon, right? She would be herself. I don't know, I think she would like work at the local diner or something, and she'd probably just scare the guys if she was like serving them food. They wouldn't know what to do. But I always say that if they were to bring me back, I feel like the more compelling storyline is Josie. I feel like she has all the knowledge of the men of letters, and she could be an ally, and she could have sort of all that information and the desire to help them, to sort of, be an asset to the guys. So that to me is a more compelling storyline. If she comes back as Abaddon, she would be really fun. It's just that those characters are, she's so big and bad, and there's no real emotional range to have with her, which is another reason I loved Mother's Little Helper, is you saw the vulnerability in Josie, so you could connect with her. You could sort of understand her human quality, because Abaddon doesn't have any human qualities because she's a human. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, so as Abaddon or Josie, which was your favorite scene to record, whether it be because it was fun or intimidating or emotional?
Oh, I don't remember the episode, but I like the one where I got to beat the crap out of Mark Sheppard. I know I've told this story a lot of times, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but he was tied to the chair. Mark's a great sport, as you guys all know, but and he's a giver for sure. But he was tied to the chair, and Brad, one of the camera operators, went around to the crew with a deli counter so everyone could take a number, so they could get in line to kick the crap out of Mark after me. You know what's funny? So I remember shooting that scene, and he ends up on the ground, and I kick him in the face, which is also fun. And again, he's like a total giver. He just gives it everything. I barely have to do anything. And sometimes I leave the set and I'm like, my throat hurts. And then I realize I've been competing with the depth of voices in the show. Like, they're all like, I find myself like, I'm like, what am I doing? Why do I talk like this? So that was one of those. Bitch. I was like, go to hell. Very dramatic. That's how we talk to people. Thank you.
Hi. Do you have like a dream episode that would happen this season, or if you could create an episode, like with a past monster or a one you could make up?
Well, I would like to come back and rule things. I don't know about you, but that would be ideal. I did make my pitch to be the big bad in the Wayward series. Right? I was like, listen, if you're going female-centric here, you want female everything, I'm your girl. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'm really grateful to be here. I'm sorry that Kim and Brianna can't be here, but they're obviously very busy doing something that you guys created. Yeah. So thank you for that. It's really empowering to know what a big voice you guys have and how much power you guys have. Because I think sometimes we sit there and go like, we can't do anything, but they listen, right? They listen. So I just want to like, just for my friends, for everyone's benefit, I just want to like put it out there that please continue to support it, because it's not just because the show's being made right now, it's a guarantee. They need the continual support, and that's going to be when it airs, and that's going to be tweeting about it, and that's going to be, talking about it and all that. So, so I really hope you guys can continue to support that, because I think it'll be a great show if you guys show up. That, and I could potentially have a job. That'd be great. Yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't know. That would be fun. I think Abaddon's a really cool character, and I would love to continue telling her story if they bring her back.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Hello.
Hello. I'm involved in community theater in my hometown in Arkansas, and I really gravitate towards the villains. They're so much fun to play, and I just want to know if you feel the same way, if you tend to gravitate towards the villains, because it's just kind of fun to step out of that box and be something you're not.
Well, how do you know? I definitely have my dark side. I love that when people are like, do you identify with Abaddon? I'm like, no. Not at all, just so you know. Or people will tweet me and they're like, my mom said I can't talk to you because you're a bad guy. I'm like, no, I'm not. I said, I'm just an actor. I have 4 children. I don't torture them. Depending. Do I identify? Yeah, for sure. I remember getting the job on the show. I really didn't expect to be liked. I didn't know the show existed, to be honest with you. I mean, you get your audition and your email, and I was like, that show's still on? Wow. And so I went in for it, and I literally looked at the sides, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, she gets her head chopped off and stabbed in the back and shot in the face in one scene. So you have to understand an audition room. An audition room is like this big, and there's like people sitting on a couch pretty much looking at the lunch menu, just waiting for you to be finished. And you walk in, and you're not dressed in character, and there's no lighting, and there's, it's just very weird, and you're reading the scene with a reader, not with another actor. And so you really have to, it's really not at all organic to the jobs that we do. So I just thought it was a very odd character. And then when she got brought to life, and they put her boots on and her leather jacket, and I love some of her lines, like one of my favorite ones is she's like, I'll stump you to death, it'll be swell. It's so fun. It's all those like funny little lines. So yeah, she definitely is fun. I think the bad guys are always, a great part of the story. It would be boring if everybody was good. And then, of course, you guys are so welcoming to the bad guys, which I don't know what that says about you, but I'm grateful. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, I'm I'm Lindsay.
Hi, aren't you cold?
No,
Oh, freezing. Okay.
I have cancer, so sweat constantly. Touching on her question, do you find it easier, other part, more fun to be, you've been a superhero, and then a super villain, also on the other side, blonde or bitchy redhead?
Like, which one do I enjoy more?
Which one's more fun, and then which one's easier?
They're all sort of, people ask me a lot, like, what's your favorite character to play? And my response is always, it's like choosing your favorite kid. It depends on the day. Depends on what they did. But there's qualities about all of them that you love. And I just like to change my hair color because I get bored. So that it really has nothing to do with the characters. I've never been specifically asked to have a different hair color. Obviously, if Abaddon were to be brought back, I would change my hair red. But I like all of that part of the job. The Black Canary, who I played on Smallville, she's one of my favorite characters just in general. She's such a great, well-rounded, dynamic character. She's what I think of when I think of a strong female character, because a lot of times, the audience wants these strong female characters, and I think sometimes writers think that they need to make them lack vulnerability and lack emotion and just sort of push through. And to me, that is our strength. The fact is that we can grow through that. We have empathy and we can connect with people. So that's our job as actors, is to connect. So the Black Canary is great in that way. She's every bit strong. She's a martial artist, and she wears cool leather, and she's sexy, and she's very intelligent. She also has this weird codependent lovesick relationship with the Green Arrow, and she's very vulnerable in that. So I love that about her. Another one of my favorite characters I played was on Stargate Universe. Did y'all watch that? So TJ, and she used to bother me. Like, literally, I would walk up to the writer's room and be like, why is this chick so whiny? And they're like, listen, little girl. Because I didn't really she taught me a lot. She's very accomplished. She went into the military, she went to medical school through the military, and she was a first lieutenant, so she's earned her way up. And yet, whenever something challenged her, she was vulnerable about it, and it bothered me so much. I was like, she needs to just get on with it. And I learned from her that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to not know everything and to learn as you go. So I've learned so much from all of my characters, and I'm grateful for that. Thanks. Hi.
Hi. First I want to say you're an amazing actress and I greatly admire you. And I was just wondering, what part of you do you channel into Abaddon? Like, do you have a specific trait that you put out as yourself in Abaddon?
There's nothing about me that's like Abaddon. I promise. Just ask my ex-husband. No, I always say that she sort of created herself. I know it's so artsy-fartsy when actors talk about like characters in third person and they're like, she's just so blah. But it's true, and it's one of those things you kind of can't get away from. Literally, I don't know, I just kind of become her. She speaks differently, she walks differently. I know I've said this before, but I get hit on more when I'm her. It's weird, and not like when I'm like coming off set with blood on my neck or anything. That would be weird. No, but like when I'm just in town working or something, I notice, like I was married at the time, and I called my husband, and I'm like, this is so weird, like 3 guys hit on me today. It never happens. And then I put it back and like, oh, Abaddon is really confident, and she just attracts that. So that's not me at all. That was her like awakening something in me. I don't know, but I liked it. It was cool. It's fun. We should all channel a little bit of Abaddon in our lives.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I was just wondering, out of all the things that Abaddon's plotted against Crowley and the Winchesters, what would be your favourite thing that she's done and like carried out?
The things that were plotted against Crowley?
Yeah.
that she did? I can't remember, what did she do? I think a lot of the seasons that I was on, they talked a lot about me, but I don't get those scripts. Like, I remember the scene where she etches into Baby. You guys remember that? Yeah. I don't get the scripts that I'm not in, and so I didn't know what was happening, and I went to bed one night and I woke up in the morning, and I turned my notifications off on all my social media, by the way, after this. My phone was like all Twitter notifications, and I was like, what's happening? And they're like, die bitch, we hate you. You thought we loved you, we hate you, never come back. And I was like, what happened? and then I realized that my character did something that I had no idea about. So I'm not sure all the things that she plotted for Crowley, but again, I did like kicking the crap out of him. I don't know why they had to have an election between us. I don't know why we couldn't have been more diplomatic and worked together. I'm not sure. I guess it wouldn't have helped Mark's storyline much, so. Whatever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'm Allison, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so you're one of my fashion icons, definitely.
Hey.
And, I mean, you could have one and I just don't know about it, but have you ever thought about starting like a fashion blog or like a beauty blog or anything like that? Because your social media, you always just look on point all the time.
Oh.
And so I think it's something you would be good at, so have you ever thought about it?
No. I usually, like, honestly, most of the time, you know, I'm a single mom with 4 kids, so usually I wear, like, yoga pants and sneakers and a t-shirt, yeah, and I go to the gym, and then I pick my kids up from school, and I beg them to eat healthy food, and then I run around until I'm tired. So, usually it's just, like, for things like this, where I'm like, oh, I get to, like, you know, wear something, so I just go shopping and buy something like my new hat that I like. And then I'll wear this probably like for the next 2 weeks and then I'll never wear it again. It'll sit in my closet. But no, it's not something that I've ever really been interested in. But I've been told that before, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Still over here. Y'all should do over there. We need more people. Hi.
She wants to know why you're so mean to Sam.
I'm so mean to Sam. I know, I'm so sorry. They made me that way. How old is she? 5. You watch the show? I love this, really?
She's been watching since she was like 2.
I'm scared of this show. My kids won't watch the show. They're scared of it. They're like, why are those guys so mean, Mommy? I was like, guys, I'm the mean one. But that's okay. You can think whatever you want, sweetheart. Yes, I really apologize for being mean to Sam. Is she a Sam girl?
She said he has long hair and he's handsome.
Aww, that's really sweet. I love that. One day, this just reminded me of a story of my next door neighbors. They were playing. My left door neighbors were over at my house, and then my right door neighbors, and the little girl was playing with the dad of the other neighbor. And he's very tall and handsome and has these crystal blue eyes. And she said to her dad, she's like, Daddy, you'll always be my king, but Chris is my prince. I was like, sorry, Miguel, it starts early, man. Yeah, so you already lost her to Sam. Sorry. Back over here. Thanks. Hi.
Hello. Would you like to play?
If I didn't play Abaddon, what character would I like to play?
Yeah.
On Supernatural?
Yeah.
Crowley.
I could totally see that, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
And then also, he always looks warm. He always has on that nice big overcoat. You ever notice they never take their coats off?
Yes.
Right? It's so odd. Like, they're always wearing coats. It's because it shoots in Vancouver. It's wet and cold all the time. So that, and like, it's really funny because what you guys see on camera is just a smidgen of what the experience is, you know? Like, it's an 8-day shoot for one episode. So for 1 hour of or 42 minutes of television, we shoot for 8 15-hour days. So that scene where I had to seduce Dean. Remember that one? And I was like, "You talk dirty to him?" Which was super awkward, by the way. Everyone's like, "Wasn't that amazing?" I'm like, no. I just say dirty things to my friend in front of 200 men with a camera in my face. Super uncomfortable. But also, you know, it's scripted that I rip his shirt open and he's naked. And so then when we go to block it, I was like, "Aren't I supposed to rip your shirt open?" He's like, "Yeah, just pull it down. I don't want to be naked for a whole day." I'm like, "Fair enough." So that's what happens, yeah. So that's why I would like to be Crowley. I like his coat.
Yeah. I don't know who I would be, really.
You what?
I don't know who I would be in Supernatural, but maybe Charlie.
Maybe who?
Charlie?
Charlie?
Yeah.
Sure. Y'all love her. I sometimes say Cass just because you guys love him so much. I just want you to love me the way you love me, Sean. That's all. Yeah, Charlie's great. I mean, I love Felicia.
Yeah.
I know, I think she would be great to come back. I don't know how they'd bring her back because she's human, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's pretty busy. That's the other thing. She's like got her own thing. She's like building an empire, so we'll leave her to it. She can go run the world. I'm good with that. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Oh, loud. My question was sorry. What would Josie's heaven look like?
I never thought about that. What would Josie's heaven look like? I mean, she was in love with Henry. I don't know how I feel about that relationship because he was married, and you know, there's a part of me that's like really upset with her about that.
Maybe a single Henry?
Yeah, that would be her heaven. They met before he was married, but then you guys wouldn't have a show.
It'd be a different kind of show.
So it'd be a whole nother show. There'd be no Sam, there'd be no Dean, there'd be no other brother. That was the first time I met, is it Adam?
One other brother.
I met him, is it Adam? Yeah. I met him and I was like, "Hey, how are you? Who are you?" And they're like, "You've never met Adam?" I was like, "No." They're like, "He's the other brother." I was like, "There's another brother?"
Everyone always forgets Adam.
Poor Adam. I know. He's like, "I haven't forgot me." Isn't he like locked up somewhere?
Yeah, he should be still in the cage.
Wow, that cage. Who else is in the cage?
No one. Michael.
A lot of people in that cage. I hope it's comfortable.
It got crowded at one point.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because Lucifer and Sam was in there too.
It's a busy place.
Gets
A lot going on in that cage. Are there any women in the cage?
No.
Probably for the better.
Yeah.
Might not end so well. Okay, so maybe single Henry would be Josie's ideal. And, you know, so Josie was written by Adam Glass, who's no longer on Supernatural, but he was very good at communicating his intention with the character, and he actually named her after his daughter Josephine, who I know. And so that was really sweet to sort of understand that you're representing somebody's personal interest. And he wants to raise his kids. He has 2 kids, Aiden and Josephine. And he wants to raise his kids in a world where women have equal rights. And so, yeah. So his intention with Josie was she lived at a time where there was the glass ceiling and she was intent on breaking it. And that's really why she chose to be possessed by Abaddon, is because she saw it as an opportunity to further, you know, women's empowerment. Maybe a little extreme, but still the intention was good. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. Also, you were really awesome as Abaddon.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, she was really fun. Hey y'all.
Hey, what was your most weirdest and unusual fan experience?
Oh. You guys are amazing. No, really. I mean, I really am so grateful. Prior to this show, I was on Stargate, and yeah, it was a really fun show. Some of my best friends still from that show. We all became really close, but we weren't really welcomed into the fandom. And so I remember, going to work and people would protest us. They were standing at our gate at like 6 o'clock in the morning in our studio going, "We hate you, go home." And we were like, "I just want to play with my children." So sometimes you're sort of just doing your own thing and you get all this shit thrown at you and you're like, "I don't know what I did wrong." But you guys really, for the most part, I feel so incredibly loved and supported, and I'm certain there's some negativity out there somewhere. I'm sure people don't always agree with everything that I think or feel or whatever, but I always feel really loved and supported, so I appreciate that a lot. Thank you guys for that. And for how much you guys support all of us. Like, it blows my mind how global this community is, how interactive this community is. I mean, we go all over the world, and you guys have friends all over the world because of our social media and the ability we have to talk to each other, to connect and to support each other, and all of the great charity endeavors we're doing. The calendar that we just released, I'm so grateful for that. We'll be able to fund the orphanage for an entire year. Like, it's fascinating. We adopted 81 kids, guys. Amazing. I'm so grateful. We're always so humbled with the amount of support that we get, so thank you guys so much. That being said, it's weird, a little bit weird, but it's okay. You're welcome to do it, don't shy away. It's just weird sometimes to choke people. And I get asked quite a bit, and I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." And then I think to myself, that was weird, that was a weird exchange. But in our world, we all get it. Yeah, that was fun. Hi.
On such a male-centric show, what was it like being a woman on set, and did you notice yourself being treated any differently?
It's interesting. I think most shows are male-centric.
That's incredibly true.
Yeah, so it's probably not any different a situation than I'm used to. I certainly don't feel treated differently. However, I am only in awareness of my experience. So I'm not entirely aware of other people's experiences or men's experiences. It's such an interesting time, especially in the last couple of weeks with the whole Hollywood Harvey Weinstein thing. Ruth and I had breakfast this morning, and we talked a little bit about sort of our personal experiences, not anything to do with work or the industry, and just the sort of awareness that we have as women now, that things that we may have been like, touched my boob or something, and you don't say anything because you're like, oh, whatever, no harm, no foul, and you're like, actually that was harmful, and that was a foul, and you're not allowed to touch me. Who told us that we didn't have to say anything? I have 2 daughters and I have 2 sons, and I tell my 2 daughters not to put up with anything, and I tell my 2 sons to keep their fucking hands to themselves. So often, and we hear this time and time and time again, we hear about how when women report rape or molestation or anything like that, what were you wearing? What is that? Why don't we teach men to keep their fucking hands to themselves? And then when people do come forward, it can be very challenging because you're faced with, we are a very victim-blaming society. I'm gonna leave it there for now. Thank you. I'm sorry to the children in the room, but y'all need to hear that too. Hi.
Okay, so I was wondering if Abaddon were to, in the past, ended up as the Queen of Hell, what do you think the first thing she would have done would have been?
As Queen of Hell? I think she thought she was Queen of Hell. Talk about identity crisis. you know, she was really aggressive and she was kind of arrogant. And again, it's sort of one of those things that like women in power get the bull in the china shop, you know, analogy. And I think that was really her demise, was that she came in there too aggressively and too strong, and she got shot down. And that's very indicative of what we as women in power positions do. We come in there and all of a sudden people are like, whoa, 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 slow your roll, little lady. Why don't you sit down and talk about this? And they don't say that to men, but I feel like she thought she was queen of hell. So I don't know if she'd do anything differently. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Charity. I was wondering if you have any funny stories from set.
That I can share? Not so much from set. I haven't been on that set in a little while. I mean, it is always funny when like there's a prank or something goes down, but we all have such great like personal relationships outside of work that you know, it's just kind of funny when you know everybody's personality and their dynamic and things. Like when we were in London like a few months ago, sweet Jason, he wanted me to listen to his new song, and he gave it to me. He's like, I'm just gonna run to the restroom. And I was like, yeah, cool. And I had his phone, and he comes back, he's like, you're good with my phone, right? Of course I am. Go ahead. And Misha's like, come on. And I was like, what? He goes, just one tweet. You were horrible. And he did try to wrestle the phone away from me, and Jason had the understanding that Misha was in the vicinity and came rushing back to the bathroom just in time. And Misha's like, damn it, I couldn't find his Twitter. And Jason's like, yeah, I know. I didn't. But that stuff happens a lot. I was sitting at dinner one night. This is how smooth these guys are. I was sitting at dinner one night. Jensen was here, and Jared was here, and Rob was here. I think Phil and Misha were there. Anyway, and we're all just sitting around, and Rob gets out his phone, and he's like, yeah, this is what I was talking about. And he like pulled up a Google article or something, and passes it on to Jared, and Jared's like, yeah, totally, I see. He was reading the article. I'm sitting right next to him. He was reading the article. And then we go outside, and we're outside, and he walks out the door, and he goes, he's like folded over laughing, and I was like, what is so funny? And he's like, him and Jensen are just howling. He had sent a tweet from Rob's account saying he hates children. How did it even happen? I watched that whole thing, and I didn't even notice that it happened right in front of me. And the best part is that Rob didn't know until the morning. God, that was good. That was funny. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. We got no more questions? Oh, all right. So, what should I get into in New Orleans? French Quarter. What else? Huh? Melba's? Oh, okay. I got a po' boy yesterday, but maybe I didn't get it from the right place. It was good though. I had catfish. Hi. I have one more question. You want to ask me? Yeah, let's go. Hi.
Hi, you said you liked getting into directing. I was wondering if you would ever be interested in directing an episode of Supernatural.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? I pick this guy's brain about it like all the time.
He does.
And he gives me the same advice every time. He's like, just go direct something, Alaina. Just go do it.
Yeah, so are you going to go do it?
Yeah, I'm going to go do it.
There we go.
Yeah. And then I have my dear friend Kim Rhodes, who wants to take over the world one thing at a time. And so she's already made her pitch that I come and direct Wayward Daughters. Maybe I'll go Shadow Witch a little bit. Thank you.
Alaina Huffman, how was it out here? Was it awesome?
It was great. These guys are amazing.
New Orleans, how was it? You're going to see this woman tonight. You're going to see this woman again this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, Alaina Huffman.